Joseph Biden was speaking to an audience, and he wanted to make clear that America is not going to pussyfoot around with Iran and their nuclear program. So we've got some quotes from him talking about, what we'll do. Will we just contain, or will we actually prevent them from getting...
He wasn't just in front of any audience, though, significantly.
That's a good point.
He was in front of Aipac.
That had nothing to do with it.
He was in front of Aipac, the Israeli lobby, or as Chuck Hagel likes to call them, the Jewish lobby. So this is Joe Biden reassuring this Israeli lobby that the United States has their back no matter what.
Exactly. Why don't we start with video 4, actually?
We're looking to and ready to negotiate peacefully, but all options, including military force, are on the table. Our strong preference, the world's preference, is for a diplomatic solution. So while that window is closing, we believe there is still time and space to achieve the outcome.
I don't know whether the idea of us talking about it, or whether nothing Joe Biden said surprised me or concerned me in any way.
Yeah, I don't think that this is too much of a move from what they've said in the past.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you expect, and this was the time, I guess, that he addresses AIPAC, and that's American-Israeli Political Action Committee. So, and he was very careful. Like, he starts by saying, well, you know what, play clip 1, and Joe Biden does what every American has done, what you have done, what I have done, what we all did with Osama bin Laden and Barack Obama. He called Iraq Iran, but here's his first point.
Iraq's acquisition of a nuclear weapon not only would present an existential threat to Israel, it would present a threat to our allies and our partners, and to the United States.
Yeah, and like I said, he's got to say that. I think I could be misquoting him, but early on I believe Cenk was a bit worried about what Obama, we're talking years ago, might do in the end.
Believe me, Cenk and I had some of our biggest fights when I was hosting the show every day with him, that Cenk would be, and this was during the Bush administration, that war with Iran was imminent.
Well, I remember feeling at the time, granted I was a listener, but at the time that it was significantly more likely then. Or if McCain had come into office, I remember he was singing the song about bombs over Iran and everything.
But what was interesting about that, aside from his flub of Iraq and Iran, which is understandable.
And he says Iran, of course.
Right.
He wants to Americanize it.
Right, yeah right, of course. But he did say, again, he was careful to say their acquisition of nuclear weapons.
Not a nuclear program.
Right, not a nuclear program, nuclear weapons. So that leads to the first soundbite that we played. There's wiggle room there, because he says there's still time. And when you talk about a willingness to allow the establishment or the beginning of a nuclear program rather than nuclear weapons, that's time for the diplomatic process to play out. I mean, saying that all options are on the table, of course they are. Who would say they weren't?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that it at least matters to me. We have one more quote that we're going to get to in just a second, but that I honestly don't feel like they're itching for a war. And I know that may seem weird, but there are other politicians who could very well be in the White House today who I think would have been quite interested in going to war. And I worry that, at least for their sake, I don't think the American people are ready for sending troops into Iran. Iran does not have a small military.
I got news for you. We'd lose. We'd lose the war. I mean, would we win almost every battle? Every battle we'd win. Would we destroy most of their nuclear capabilities? Yeah, I presume we could do that. And then we'd lose thousands of troops if we put any troops on the ground, and Iran would hate us, and eventually they'd drive us out.
Exactly.
And people who hate us would be in charge. I mean,
it would be a sandy, dusty Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, it would be Iraq.
We would just send in the F-16s, bomb their reactors or whatever. And there's certainly politicians in Israel who have made very clear, even recently, even in the wake of Biden's comments, that that's what they want to happen. But we have, this is going to be video 5, Biden making clear that if there is some sort of military action, it's not going to be 100% unilateral American action, that we care about, what the rest of the world thinks.
God forbid the need to act occurs. It is critically important for the whole world to know we did everything in our power. We did everything that reasonably could have been expected to avoid any confrontation. That matters, because God forbid if we have to act, It's important that the rest of the world is with us.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that was, and that's legitimately felt by Joe Biden. Cenk and I were in D.C. a couple of times to hear Biden talk back during the Iraq War, and in many ways that is a direct shot at George Bush and Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld and Doug Feith, that there was deception, that it was not the entire world with us, and that most importantly, we did not in any way, we stopped far short of doing everything we could to prevent it. I mean, for crying out loud, we were saying, let the inspectors do their job, and they were literally doing their job. And we pulled them out to attack and killed hundreds of thousands of people. It's unconscionable what we did. And these guys won't do that. I'm not saying they won't attack, but they won't do that.
Yeah, there are definitely areas of policy where I feel like, even if they seem to be very clear, that you can't trust what they're saying. But in that case, I do. I know that it's very common over the past 10 years to think what if George W. Bush hadn't won? What if it had been Al Gore? And that obviously sucks to have to think about. But by the same token, imagine if that speech had been delivered by Vice President Sarah Palin.
Yeah, no, look, it's different and it matters. And the idea that they're all the same isn't, and it doesn't. It matters, if nothing else. It matters on the likelihood of war with Iran, and it matters on judges who, at the federal and appellate level, and obviously the Supreme Court, who dictate some of the most important issues of our time. So on that alone, it matters a lot.